All right. It's been a minute since I've done any kind of videos or anything like that. I've been going through like a lot of just work, really. I've been busy at work. Just some stuff around the house as far as like remodeling. Trying to save up for this remodeling thing that me and the wife are trying to do. So I've just been kind of not, into it like I, want to be, which is fine. I'm doing this for fun. So really, whenever I have spare time, I just want to do a video. Um, why? Because it's fun. I enjoy this. I enjoy books. The more I can talk about books, even if one person listens, it makes me happy. You know, kind of like people on Twitch who stream gaming and stuff like that. It makes them happy. I mean, I hope so. I hope they're just not streaming for the hell of it and for the money. I hope there's more to it than that. Um, well, so one of the books I recently finished, it's going to be another Dark Sun book because again, I'm trying to just knock those all out since I pretty much for the most part read all of them, and now I'm just trying to refresh myself. I would like to do the Tribe of One series, but I've got so many books right now that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to cover them right now because I would like to read these newer ones I have. But it's Under the Crimson Sun, which is one of the Abyssal Plague novels, and if you're familiar with that, then you know that Dune is the chained god, and what happens is the Void Harrow uh, is sent out from Dune and infects all of the realms in D&D. So this is a D&D book, Dark Sun, and I gotta say that probably was what makes this book so enjoyable is the fact that there is references to other realms. Even if it is just the chained god, Dune. So even if it's just that, it's something about that really just puts everything together and kind of puts everything to a kind of perspective that makes it really enjoyable. And this author, right out of the gate, I enjoyed. In fact, I was talking to my wife about how much I just enjoy this guy's writing and why I haven't heard more of this guy. And apparently, he's a big editor. I didn't know that. So that's probably why he does a lot of anthology series and stuff like that. Well, his name is, his title is Keith R.A. DeCandido? DeCandido. And I might be butchering that. Here's the back matter. So the back matter of the book, Dune, the Chained God, has released the Void Harrow, a liquid crystal imbued with his will and all the chaos of the abyss, into the universe. It doesn't say this in here, but the Void Harrow is sentient. In fact, when he comes across it, it talks to him. And it even kind of does like the whole symbiote thing, like with Venom, where it's like, it's not just you or me now, it's we. We are doing this together. There's no backing out kind of thing. Which shows its immense power that it has on its own. And with it comes an engine of destruction and pestilence that twists and deforms beings into chaotic, demon-like creatures. It sure as hell does. So Rawl Mandrid and Gan Storvis have conned their way into guarding a trading caravan when they come across a long-dead corpse in the desert. In disturbing the body, Roll unwittingly opens the door to a ruined abyssal realm. The Void Horror takes hold of him, and he begins to morph into a beast like none they have ever seen. Taken by slavers and brought to fight in the gladiatorial ring, Rawl, or the thing he has become, is a huge draw for the arena. As the bloodlust of the crowd reaches dizzying levels, the stakes are raised even higher when allies attempt to defraud the rulers of this cruel spectacle and attempt to free Rawl and Gan. Power is never so transitory as it is under the blood red sun of Athos. So, yeah, they do. It's great. The characters in this I enjoy. I have one complaint I'm gonna go ahead and say right now. So, Gan, there's an emporium, which is this caravan of pretty much like that. They're scammers, and they also sell goods, but they happen to scan people they feel worth scanning, and it's kind of like the Robin Hood thing. So they won't just go out and scam the poor, but they'll take on nobles. And in this spoiler, they try to swayed Hamanu, which is the Lion King, not the Disney one. He is. They kept calling him the god of the world, or the king of the world, or whatever. But strangely, I think I've only heard him ever refer to that like one other time in another book. I've never heard of them refer to that as many times as they refer to that in here. Self-proclaimed, I guess. Which, I guess, I'm trying to figure out the time period that this took place, and I'm assuming this probably happens. I'm not sure if this would have happened before when they took on Rajat from the other books. Let me not get onto that whole thing. It was kind of difficult for me to kind of pinpoint the time period without me just looking it up, just by reading this. Which I guess is a good thing too, because you're not trying to get a draw on a bunch of things going on. So you're like, oh, how did this impact this? They kind of keep this in its own little thing, so you're not constantly trying to put together stuff from other books. Well, so right out of the gate, you come across, like it says, Raul Gan, and I think his name's pronounced Fraud, or Fraud, and he's like a staff wielder. And he's kind of cool. I liked him for the very few pages he was alive. And he died in a fight with the Black Sand Bandits while they were saving that caravan that they wound up leading. Well, it's a shame that he dies because he seemed like he was going to be a really good character. But right away, the author kind of shows you on ending that segment. It wasn't a chapter, it was like a segment, and right before he did the transition to another part, he really shows that he has a good sense of humor, and that is something that I think a lot of people aspire to have in writing, because it's hard to have a good sense of humor. You might be able to tell a joke very well, but to actually put it down on page in a book and it to land, it's more difficult than you think, because you are playing everything. You're the set designer, you're the literal writer. You're writing the script for each character. You have to, you're the director and the producer. You're everything in a book. People kind of forget that. So when you have somebody who can, like, right out of the gate start hitting you with good jokes, and that they're not really forced, you're like, oh, this is gonna be a good book. And it was absolutely a great book. I enjoyed it immensely. So they, like it says, the Void Harrow, it actually gets into Raul, and it begins changing him. And he becomes in kind of a battle, an internal struggle, that I like the way they set it up, because the Void Harrow, because you kind of ask yourself, why doesn't it just get rid of him? Well, it's because it's cocky. And it itself is chaos, it's mad. It doesn't have a reason, it's from the Abyss, so it's mad. And and what I mean mad is not like angry, I mean it is crazy. So it itself just wants destruction and to spread like a virus and infect everything. So they're in this arena, and like some of the people he's fighting, these pustules will start popping on him, or like they'll hit him in the face and he'll bust one of these things, and he'll infect whoever he's fighting, and it hurts, and it spreads. But the thing is they, because they're in Uric, which is where the Hominu rules. Well, they wound up killing like his challengers that he's been beating because they're getting infected. And needless to say, Raul gets pulled out from the arena because someone notices that he's causing an issue down there, and they think that they can use him to bolster the army of Uric. So, because they see he's like this unstoppable beast who can like one-shot a Goliath or a half-giant. And I'm not kidding. He like will hit a half-giant and snap its neck. I mean, it's so powerful. And it's the Abyssal Plague. It's infecting. Which, if you don't know, the Abyssal Plague is actually it was a big event that happened in Forgotten Realms, which really happened in all realms. Kind of started off, and I didn't know this until I did a lot more research into it, but I think it was the Ghost King with Ari Salvatore's, the Drit series, and that was a great book. I had read it and I listened to it. I didn't know that was part of the Abyssal Plague. Apparently it was. I didn't know that. But that gives you kind of a concept of like how this affected everything. And, and the Void Harrow even tells some of the people who's imprisoning him and keeping him held with psionics, because he's so goddamn strong. he's like, I serve Tharizdun and I will spread for Tharizdun and all this stuff. And they're like, oh, we don't know who the hell you're talking about. So they do all the digging, all the research, talk to everybody, and they're like, there's no such thing as this Tharizdun god. Because he's not from their realm. I love stuff like that. He's from Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms. He's completely different than anything that they've come across before. And I am disappointed about something near the end. I like the characters. Let me go ahead and say that I think I mentioned it for a second, and then I kind of, with my ADHD, I kind of got off topic. But the caravan with the Emporium that has all the people, has a three queen with them, which she stands out. Her name, as soon as you see, I remember that three queen. But there's some of their names that they hit you with these characters back to back to back, that it's getting kind of hard for you to keep up with who's talking, who's whose daughter, their relationship between each other. Okay, that's right. This one was the lover of that one. Got them. They're figured out. Now, which one of these was the daughter? Which one was the mother? Okay, their names are so similar. Is that the brother or the sister? Oh, it said he. That must be the brother. And you're constantly doing that throughout the book. And until, you've done it enough times, halfway through, I was like, all right, I've gotten used to this, because they finally left the mother and father out, and I was just focusing on two of the characters. But, god dang, for a minute there, I was having to jump back and forth, and that might just be me. I'm not very good at keeping up when you're hitting me back to back to back to back with new characters and giving me names, and they don't have any distinguishing talking points. They don't have a special dialect or anything like that. Everybody's talking the same. Everyone says pretty much the same stuff. There might be just a couple people like the mole in here. There's a couple, and there's one who used to be the big dog of the arena, who they could have done so much with him, and I hate that he dies. Spoiler again. But god dang, he was so badass. He was just tired of fighting. He just beat everybody with a couple hits, or no one could beat him, and he was tired of it. So when he finally lost, he thanked him, for ending his suffering. And I was like, that's fucking tight. But that's not why they're not here. There. So the characters, they get a little, crowded up, and you get a little bit of character crowding going on. Well, needs to say, they try to save Gan. They don't know anything that's going on with Rawl. They don't know that he got transferred to the king and for the army. So they go in to save him by acting like they're slavers, and that this was their slave. Because in Dark Sun, slavers pretty much run the place. They're everywhere, and it's because it's such a lawless place, a lawless world, pretty much. Really is. Well, they go in, they trick them because they have all the stuff. This is what they do. This is their craft. So they have fake documents. They can make them look so real. They have actual stamps that they've apparently taken somehow. All this kind of stuff. So they can pass off any document that they need to pass off as being real. And so they come in acting like completely different people, saying, this is what we are. You captured some of our slaves. Oh, you thought that they were free men? Oh, but one of the slavers was like, I had a thought that they might have been, slaves, and that's why they didn't want to say anything about it. But they wind up getting into this big thing, and they kill the slavers of the arena. And now their plan is, now that they freed Gan, is it's very complicated, but pretty much get Rawl back from them, back into the pit, the Black Pit, which is the arena. And to do so, they would have to pretty much run the arena. So they'd have to go and convince Hamanu, and they do, kind of easily. And this is where I get kind of like, oh, okay, I'm not good with that. Hamanu is such a badass. From everything I've read about him, he is such a badass. Sure, he is kind of lazy, and he's so old, he's tired of everything. But the dude's amazing with the way. He's a magic master. He was made by Rajat. So, he's a badass. And they duke him so easily because of his greed. He would know that they were lying. he should know when someone is lying to him, because he has this way with the way where he can pretty much know what you're thinking with no effort, and you barely know he's intruding in your mind, if at all, and he can pretty much read you. Unless they're saying that he's just so uncaring about the masses that, oh, you want to own the masses arena, the Black Pit, to make them happy. Well, happy, citizens is a happy king. Whatever. I just don't think that works, or at least it didn't work for me. Someone else might, who might not, have read, might not know all that stuff about him, but he wouldn't do that. At least that's what I think. He wouldn't. He would call them out on their bullshit, and then maybe he would be like, "But I'm interested to see what you do," because that's kind of how I pick him up as. He's the kind of person that as long as you fear him, he's pretty much fine with you. He likes respect and fear, and at the same time, there's a glint of humanity left in him, a very small glint, and because. If I say that, I'll ruin a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, well, that's what I think. That's it all in a nutshell. They get at the final fight scene. It was good. It's like the final fight scene, I think, lasts maybe about 30 pages, or when everything picks up again near the end, the climax at the end, probably about 30 pages. And, it was okay. I love his writing style, so I'm really sad that I haven't read anything else by him, because I think there might be a lot more stuff out there, and I'm going to see what I can find. Hopefully I'll find some good stuff to read by him. So I'd probably rate this like a 1 out of 10. I would rate this, and again, I'm going to be a little bit more harsher with my ratings, so not everybody's just getting a 10 when they don't really deserve it, but I'd probably rate this book like a 6. A good 6, because, there's some times where it's just a lot of talking. The fight's fun, there's not really adventuring because they're in Uruk, and it's just going from one scene to the next scene in the same place. So it goes from just these people talking in the Black Pit to these people talking about the Black Pit, then these people over here discussing what they should do in the Black Pit. It kind of killed it for me. Maybe, if he had a twofer, like a two-piece book, he could have done less in this with the Black Pit and finished it early on, and then maybe he could have stretched it out. I don't know. I think maybe that would help. Again, I think that's an issue a lot of writers have, is that they have a big story in mind with a lot of stuff going on, but then they only have one book, or they only want to do one book. The contract's only for one book, that they have to do all this stuff they have in mind. So they try to just shove it all in there. Or there's a lot of editing, and you can tell, he went back and just chopped it up. But that's about it. I think it's a good book. You should read it. Again, the book is Under the Crimson Sun. Check it out if you can find it. I'm sure they have it on Audible somewhere. They usually have a lot of things on Audible. I wish they'd have a lot more Dark Sun on Audible. I love Audible. It's something I would recommend for people to at least check out, because I am, I work at a fire station, and I'm a cop. I do all kinds of stuff. I write, and whenever I have free time, I would turn on Audible and let stuff play. And that's just what I like doing. Also, if anybody who watches this has any good ideas, any good recommendations about somewhere I can go, I'm an aspiring writer. I watched a seminar where this one guy said, if you write, you are a writer. I've been writing for years, and twice I've had a computer shit out on me, and all my stuff gone, because I was just using the stuff that was on the computer. I bought a software program called Write It Now one time. It was a great program that I would recommend. However, I had an old computer that was $180 from Walmart. So when it crashed, all my programs were messed up, and it was nothing but hashtags for my book, and I had 170 pages gone. I'm redoing it now. After that, it kind of broke my spirit, and a lot of life is dealing with heartbreak of different kinds. And if anybody has any good resources I could use for just people who are trying to get published, or just for writing ideas, concepts, there's only so much looking around I can do. I would like to see if anybody else has any good ideas. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know if there's like a blog or something like that where I might be able to post a chapter or two and get people's thoughts. Friendly thoughts. I'm not looking for like Twitter shit where everything's just toxic and hate, which I'm not about Twitter, guys. So if y'all can just help me out, I would appreciate it. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, okay? Take it easy.